I may not be able to tell you where Athenaeum is, but it would be my absolute pleasure to tell you about this quaint, idyllic diamond in the rough. Restricted areas, as you know, are protected by obscurity. Telling someone it's somewhere in level 1 isn't much to go off of, and we like it that way. Certain things are left as best-kept secrets, and Athenaeum is one such place. It is fragile and precious, a tiny oasis of hope, nestled in an endless miasma of hallways and death. And if you tell everyone where to find it, someone is going to ruin it. That's a guarantee. That's just how it goes. One of the greatest obstacles of life in the Backrooms is food production. A simple handful of seeds is equal to the lives of hundreds of individuals. Athenaeum, then, is a failsafe for millions. There is no greater treasure to thriving human society than agriculture, making this outpost the crown jewel of the halls. Other levels may offer reliable sources of food akin to level 10's endless fields of almond grain, or the exotic fish of level 8, despite housing danger in other forms. Yet the issue of sustaining populations always comes down to logistic obstacles. We simply can't get the resources from those levels anymore. By being inside level 1, we keep the future of level 1 alive. No more, no less. Nestled within the familiar wallpaper and carpet of the halls lies a cluster of rooms accoutered in a theme of delicate greenhouse circuitry, lighting, plumbing, and pumps, which had been left to overgrow and entropy for an unknown amount of time. Within these familiar level 1 rooms stand metal racks, housing rows upon rows of hydroponic growing stations, as well as cabinets full of labeled seeds and glass jars and finely tuned equipment for measuring pH, thermometers, and measuring beakers for fertilizers and plant food. It was a well-stocked and incredibly advanced facility that existed with surprisingly little point of reference as to why or how it came to be. It stuck out like a sore thumb, as if placed into the halls by an act of God, defiant against reason. At the point of its discovery, Athenaeum was entirely vacant of citizens or operational staff, save for, well, the bones of whoever had come across it last. 3 skeletons remained to look over the facility as time took its toll on the greenhouses, which had exploded into uncontrolled growth and housed mammoth-sized plants, whose roots were thick, gnarled, proud tubers choking the overrun and hardly functioning waterways. As we settled into the outpost, we were trimming back overgrowth, hacking at root systems, clearing out cobwebs, and trying to identify the identities of the 3 leftover bodies. The carpet was moist and suffered from molding after being abandoned into disarray for so long, so we tore it up in huge damp swaths. Same with the familiar wallpaper and water-damaged drywall, covering the gaps of wooden beams with cloth and plastic. We composted the trimmed plants for new rich soil, and the bodies we broke down into ornaments. The skulls of those old occupants now watch the common entrance of the outpost. We believed it would be agreeable to their memory to adorn the doorway with them. Within just a few days, it was feeling like home. By the end of our intrusion, a visitor might actually forget they were inside level 1 with the changes we made. The husks of these old inhabitants had been here long enough for nearly everything to have decomposed, save for the plastics and metals in their pockets and adorning their bodies, a ring, a necklace, and on each of them a laminated identification card in a language no one came close to recognizing. Not much to go off of, and no real means to dig any deeper. There were living quarters here as well, more than enough needed to house the handful of us who stumbled upon the outpost. Metal-framed beds with crinkly, hard plastic mattresses that prevented moisture from damaging them, but make you wake up in puddles of sweat nearly every evening. Plumbing that runs through recyclers, turning waste to compost and drinkable water. Whoever built this place had resources akin to what I pictured NASA would have back on Earth, capable of shooting millions of dollars worth of cutting-edge technology into space to sustain the lives of a handful of people within the harshest environment imaginable. How this was built into the desert of level 1 may forever be a mystery to me. Once settled and brought into a state of operation, Athenaeum realized it had a prime directive: mass seed cultivation and the production of preserved goods. There are dozens of strains and species here, some edible, others more utilitarian in nature, but all of them useful. We grow berries, tubers, and plants from baseline, which seem to have adapted to the Backrooms through a change of color. Some of them we recognized, many we did not. A lot of the plants we named ourselves, although we were able to find documentation, not in English, but with enough diagrams to understand, of others which were invaluable for optimizing their growth. Many common plants and seeds you see in your communities come right from here. You'll recognize some of these frequent exports by name, so here is some information about them you may not have known about before. A marvel tinted in shades of golden ochre and bronze, the Sepia Vine is a miraculous source of food. The woody stems are chewable and sweet, providing fiber and a dental scrub. Its leaves are plain but can substitute for salads, but most importantly, their flowers mature into small honeyed berries, which make a vital export. The berries of the Fusca sphenea ripen quickly and grow in abundance when properly cultivated, and can be dried into long-lasting sweet rations. What's more, they are rich in vitamin C. Since the introduction of Sepia Vine into settlements, we have combated the rampant scurvy which plagued the halls and outskirts communities. Henna Bamboo is a rapidly growing and sturdy plant that grows in clumps of rigid, tall shafts, which sprout shoots of vernal bushes of leafy grain stalks. The young shoots are easily prepared into edible dishes, while the rigid stalks can be sliced into narrow strips and manufactured into wooden objects of all sorts. The Henna Bamboo also grows stalks of seeds from its closed sections of the stem, in a similar way to its grassy baseline counterparts. Only these seeds mature similarly to wheat. We rapidly produce some Henna Bamboo for its materials in shoots and young seed pods, while others we cultivate for upwards of 4 months for these grains to mature properly for the production of flowers. Glowcap is a fairly common mushroom that is well known for the phosphorescent rim along the bottom of their caps. Despite its soft and inviting glow, Nitre protesco grows best from decaying mulch and gives off an unpleasant smell. The stem of these fungi offer no medicinal properties and are used for cooking. The glowing caps, however, contain some exotic properties. If extracted properly, a thick fluid can be obtained, which affects the nervous system if ingested. As a standalone remedy, this extract can dull pain and temporarily relieve stress. Since Glowcap targets the nervous system, it can be used as a carrying agent to allow other drugs to affect the brain when combined with alternate medicinal extracts. Mist moss grows in thick, moist bunches and boils down to almost nothing, similar to spinach. It is nutritional and easy to cultivate. Drying mist moss is a common way to prepare it for shipment, as well as blending it into a rich powder that can be added to water as a nourishing boost. Mist moss is an essential supplement for settlements. It promotes the immune system by flooding the body with vitamins and minerals. However, if combined with the correct carrying agents, mist moss can instill rapid regenerative properties, aiding in healing deep wounds and staving off infection. Sludge fairy lily grows in slow current water. We grow a sheet of them across a murky basin that mixes our fertilizers. They require little light, and their abundance is a plus, as they make a unique tea when dried and steeped. Sludge fairy lily tea is great for calming nerves and improving focus. When nothing else is available, the tea can also help alleviate pain by distracting the mind away from the immediate sting of an injury. Mainstem is a vibrant mushroom well known for the bright orange hairs it sprouts from its tall and thin cap. It grows in thick bunches, looking almost like stringy noodles. Growing these mushrooms is easy, for they require very few nutrients and absorb most of their energy from the air through their long hairs. These spongy mushrooms are great at absorption. They taste very rich and earthy and are often eaten to clean out the stomach and kidneys of toxins. They can be used in multiple fashions, however. If prepared into a gauze, Mainstem is excellent at drawing infection out from open wounds, and is commonly used as a sterilizer. With the correct carrying agents, Mainstem can be used to cure disease, absorb poison, and even induce clear thinking. Soil can be made out of nearly anything if you give it time. Rip up and shred carpet into clumps of fluff, soak it and add wallpaper, wood chips, manure from your settlements, and scraps of waste and let it naturally ferment. Plug your nose and till and rotate it occasionally and let it rot and stew, and continue adding to it for weeks. Decomposition will break your experiment down into soil, at least nutritious enough for level 1 flora. Our seed distribution will get your first crops growing. Plants make more than food and materials. They make compost as well, which can restart your cycle of farming again and again. We cannot produce enough food for everyone here, but as long as our hydroponics are thriving and working efficiently, we can grow and store enough seeds for self-sufficient outposts for generations to come. We distribute the seeds and preserved goods of Athenaeum via porter crews we cannot disclose the names of, along paths we cannot disclose the locations of, to our neighboring settlements we cannot identify. The strength of the UNCB relies on some things to remain secret. The lives of many depend on our full obscuration of these details. It's amusing, though. Certain aspects of the geography of the halls lend themselves to be quite handy for porters. Moving product by foot is incredibly easy when you're traversing a completely flat plain from one area to the next. Cargo caravans can use wheels and carts for the reliable movement of products. The job of a porter is so simple, even, that many families we engage with live nomadically, porting as a means to survive and keeping barter and trade alive among the society of the halls. Distance becomes nothing more than a matter of planning. Faraway settlements request larger shipments, since their deliveries are less frequent. Our nearer neighbors can ask for more casual deliveries. When possible, we send porters along delivery routes that string along several settlements and have them reach them out of order, detouring for security or taking purposely convoluted trips. When the cargo you are moving is food, the length of a trip does not matter. 5 days or 5 months, bring enough for the journey, and no distance is too great. These people wander the halls professionally, a lonely job, but porters are prepared for the dangers of limb space, and carry what they need to reach their destinations. The Outpost is home to 27 permanent residents, with a handful of temporary citizens who visit occasionally when required for harvest and inspection. Over time, the facilities of the Outpost have been expanded from their original forgotten and overgrown state into a bustling community with a multitude of services. Outpost Athenaeum is a storage location for physical copies of archived documents when applicable, and through trade has acquired a sizable collection of real paper books. The Outpost has colloquially become known as the United Library within its local sector. With the large volume of porters frequenting this outpost for trade, this outpost has taken to mapping the hallways by collaborating routes between porters. In this way, systems for mapping, and subsequently ciphers for these maps, have been developed to provide secure routes between colonies. Porter speak allows professional and trusted travelers to read landmarks and travel documents that would be nonsense to common wanderers, a system that was coined and refined here. Official UNCB maps with restricted areas obscured have been developed in these ways, and uploaded to the archives thanks to the efforts of Athenaeum. Should the worst come to pass, Athenaeum shall remain. If all else should fail, Athenaeum will stand, deeply rooted and thriving to maintain the presence of humanity within the halls.